Recording in progress.
All right. I haven't held this gavel before, so I don't know if I'm supposed to do it every time I speak, but officially calling the meeting to order. I'm going to read my sheet here. Melissa, can you call the roll, please?
All right. Chair Schmidt,
Here.
Vice Chair Crampton.
Here.
Commissioner Buaya. Commissioner McEwen.
Here.
Commissioner Ono.
Here.
Commissioner Sanders. Commissioner Spangler. Absent. Thank you.
Public comment. I'd like to ask Nate to read the public comment procedures, please.
Yes, good evening, commissioners, and happy Valentine's Day, and welcome to the new commissioners as well. Information on participating in this meeting are providing public comment, including remotely by Zoom or telephone, is available on this meeting's agenda, which is online at isearchmonterey.org. Remote commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak. A timer will be shown on the screen. If you're connected on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. In the chamber, we recommend wearing masks and asking attendees to please keep their phones or mobile devices muted as to prevent audio interference with tonight's meeting. Thank you for participating in your city government.
All right, thank you. Looks like we have some presentations.
Thank you, commissioners. I have the pleasure of introducing two brand new commissioners, as well as honoring two commissioners that will be exiting our board. So first of all, thank you, Kathy Buaya and Gabriel Sanders, for joining our commission. And this is your first meeting, and very committed already by arriving on Valentine's Day. So thank you so much for being here. We'd like to go ahead and start with, I don't want to say ex-commissioner, our previous commissioner, Donna Gibson. You come on up, please. Hold this for me. Thank you. Okay, we're going to talk about you a little bit. Today, we recognize Parks and Recreation Commissioner Donna Gibson for faithfully and dutifully serving on the Parks and Recreation Commission for the past 5 years. Donna began her tenure with the Parks and Recreation Commission in June 2018 when she was appointed to fill a vacant seat on the commission. Since her appointment, Donna has faithfully attended commission meetings and served as the PRC chair for over 2 years. Donna chaired the commission through COVID-19 pandemic and included many remote meetings, and it was a very challenging time for the Parks and Recreation Department. Donna's participation and contributions towards promoting and improving Parks and Recreation services during the past 5 years has been outstanding. She's committed to meeting the parks and recreational needs of the entire family, from tiny tots to senior citizens. Donna has dedicated herself to improving parks and recreational facilities, programs, and services, which enrich the quality of life for the entire Monterey area. She has advocated for Parks and Recreation Department projects at annual neighborhood and community improvement program meetings, and even coordinated the first ever Parks and Recreation Commission Halloween trunk at the city's second annual Halloween trunk and treat event. She's a staunch participant and supporter of the Monterey Sports Center and has also faithfully volunteered for many years as part of our Volunteer in Parks, or VIP, program. Donna, you're truly a VIP, and on behalf of the Parks and Recreation Department and the PRC, I would like to acknowledge you for your leadership and support with this plaque. We wish you all the best with your future endeavors. You will truly be missed, but you're forever a part of the Parks and Recreation family. We look forward to seeing you working out at the Monterey Sports Center and in our parks and gardens very soon. Congratulations. Take a picture.
Picture time.
With the.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Do you care which camera you use?
What's the stand?
I don't have it.
Yes.
Yes. Want me to?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I can, everyone can always see.
Cheese. Cheese.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Donna.
You mind if we do another one? For the next. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. That's good. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna open up for public comments. Nate? Oh, well, that comes
That's
after
another
this.
item, next item.
Do I not follow the queue?
Yeah.
Okay. So Nate, can you process the callers if there's any public comment?
Yes, thank you. The process for receiving public comment has changed, and to align our process with the city council, the steps are as follows. Speakers need to be identified prior to public comment opening. We have allotted a maximum of 15 minutes for public comment on this item. Each speaker's allotment of time is dependent on the total number of speakers. However, the maximum time per speaker is 3 minutes. If you are in the chamber and you would like to speak on this item, please stand or raise your hand. Admin Assistant Martinez, do we have any public comment from the council chambers?
No public comments, Nate.
Thank you. If you are online and you would like to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand or press *9 if you've dialed in by phone. We have one public speaker online, and that member will get a total of 3 minutes. Please go ahead and give us your public comment.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Esther Malkin. I'm the president of the Laguna Grande Neighborhood Association. And I just wanted to say how very excited we are to have Kathy Boyer representing our side of the city on the commission now. Some of you, I know Lacey, I don't think she's there tonight, but Lacey will remember about 11 years ago, I started coming to these meetings about Laguna Grande Park. And since then, we've made a lot of progress and we're having a lot of success on getting this park the attention that it deserves, considering it's the largest park on the peninsula. And can you hear me?
I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is public comment just on Donna's presentation.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was for all the new
No.
appointments and everything.
We'll call for that in a little bit, but this is
Okay, sorry.
wanted to acknowledge Donna or have anything to say about any of those items first. Sorry about that.
Okay,
That concludes public comment on this item.
and if there's no more public comments, those are now closed. But it looks like we have another presentation.
We'd like to welcome Dennis McCarthy to come forward, please. Today, we recognize Parks and Recreational Commissioner Dennis McCarthy for faithfully and dutifully serving on the Parks and Recreation Commission for the past 19 years. Dennis began his tenure with the Parks and Recreation Commission in December 2004. Since his appointment, Dennis has faithfully attended commission meetings and served as chair and vice chair for a total of 6 years. As a commissioner, Dennis helped foster the network of events and programs that meets the needs of all ages, including the development of the City of Monterey's 2016 Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Dennis has been an advocate for the entire Parks and Recreation Department, including recreation camps, sports events, programs, and Monterey Sports Center, the Monterey Recreation Trail, and updates to Dennis Menace Playground and Frank E. Solicitor Jr. Ballpark. Dennis has been a support to the Parks and Recreation Department through many challenging times, including during COVID-19, which was especially difficult due to its effect on the City of Monterey's budget. Dennis's mentorship, knowledge, and expertise has been invaluable over the past 19 years. Dennis's commitment to the PRC and department has never wavered. Even through remote meetings, Dennis was a devoted advocate for the rebuilding of the Monterey Parks and Recreation Department. Dennis, you know I consider you a major rock star. And on behalf of the Parks and Recreation Department and the PRC, we'd like to acknowledge you with this plaque. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And while you will be greatly missed on the Parks and Rec Commission, We know that you will always be a supportive member of our Parks and Recreation family. Thank you again for nearly 2 decades of service.
Picture down. Thanks, Dennis. All right, I'm gonna call on Nate to open it up for public comments, specifically about Dennis.
If you're in the council chamber and you'd like to make a public comment on this item, please identify yourself. Melissa, do we have any public comment in the chamber?
None in the chamber, Nate.
If you are online and you'd like to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand or press *9. We have no public comment online.
Thank you, Dennis.
Dennis.
Well, apparently the public comments are now closed for Dennis. But presentations are not over, so I'm going to call on Karen again to give us the next one, please.
We'll be queuing up the next one. This evening, we have a presentation regarding department operations from November 23 to January 24. Oops. The next slide is coming up, I think. So we are very exciting news for those of you who know that we've been trying desperately to rebuild the Parks and Recreation Department. And we've been so fortunate to fill some positions over the past few months, very long awaited positions. And we have some excellent people who have joined our team. One of the people is Vicki Rahman. She's our full-time management analyst. She's already knee-deep in budget preparations for us, and she's been a fantastic addition. She used to work for the city of Monterey for over a decade, and she's worked in progressively other positions throughout other city government, and now she's come back to us as a management analyst. We've also hired Bill Rothschild, which some of you have already met, our sports center manager. He also worked at the sports center for over 2 decades and went away to Oregon near his family, and he built and ran a center up there. And we're very fortunate to have him back. He's replacing Dr. Willer. We've also hired a full-time guest services specialist at the sports center. Her name is Leslie Pressman. She worked for us for about 15 years and was someone who got laid off during the pandemic. And so we're very fortunate to have her back on our team full-time. We also hired a full-time recreation coordinator who also worked for us before the pandemic layoffs. And his name is Chris Russo, and he will be managing El Estero Park Center and helping on in the recreation division, which hopefully then will free up Nate to do more recreation supervisor duties. And then we've also hired full-time park maintenance worker, Jose Ayala. I'm sorry. Ayala. We just hired him, and he's very excited to be part of the park maintenance team. And we are reviewing positions as a part of the fiscal 25 budget. We're reviewing our revenues and expenditures, and hopefully we'll be able to request more positions then. Also, over the last few months, we've had Laguna Grande Park JPA meetings. We had a JPA board meeting in November where the board directed us to go ahead and amend a current contract that the city of Monterey has. This group BFS helped us design the trail maintenance strategy for Laguna Grande Park. And now the firm is also going to be working with some sub-consultants to help us get through the permitting process. So it's not involved in this particular presentation, but we did have a meeting also this week, and we got permission to enter into that contract and ask our agencies for additional funding to get us through that permitting process. We also hosted a community town hall for programming at Laguna Grande Park. That was on January 17th. The top program requests were bird watching, pet health and safety, and park cleanup. Those were the three main areas that people really wanted to see first. We got a lot of feedback, but these were the priorities. And so we've already been working very closely with the Monterey Parks Regional Park District to bring those programs to Laguna Grande Park. We're also very fortunate that the Blue Zones is actually hosting a park cleanup as soon as this weekend. So they will be there on February 17th. I'll give you those details also at the end of the evening. Next slide. The capital site master plan, for those of you who are familiar with this, we have been working towards this for years. It has been a very long process, and we are now in project kickoff phase and document review and site visit. That should all be completed by the end of this month, weather permitting. We've had some challenges with the weather getting out to the site, but things are moving along with the consultant. Phase 2 will include community engagement. We heard loud and clear from the public that they really wanted to be involved very early on in the process. So we'll be having that event February 27th at 6 p.m. at Casanova Oak Knoll. The next phase after that will be a master plan design. We hope to have that ready by the end of May. And then the final phase will be a formal presentation to the PRC and the City Council before June 30th. I'm going to hand it over to Tice for park operations.
Thank you, Karen. As you can see there right off the picture is, we'll note that our park maintenance staff was working hard doing some upgrades or repairs at Solicitor Ball Field, repairing the mound right there. But yeah, it has been a busy few months for the crew. As you can see, the amount of 256 planted, a lot of work going in transient cleanup, and I'll get a shout out to that because it has been very challenging in some of the locations where they've been identified and been asked to clean. So they've worked really hard doing that. As Karen mentioned, there was some work with Blue Zone at Laguna Grande and beach cleanups with Save Our Shores. Next slide, please. With the holiday, we do a little bit out here at Colton Hall. I don't know if everybody got a chance to see it, but we got to display our new star this year, which we were very proud of. That stood out quite a bit brighter than in the past. West Coast Arborist was helped us decorate the tree, and our park maintenance staff helped decorate the grounds, and as well as a few other small spots in town. As you can see in the picture there, Del Monte Beach Boardwalk got some much needed repairs, which is great to see. We had a contractor come in and do some grooming of the artificial turf fields at Laguna Grande and Solicitor Park, which is always needed. Fence repairs at Windows on the Bay, re-landscaping a little bit at around Fisherman's Wharf area, and over at the Sports Center, removed some large planter pots, which was definitely a major task. And now the Streets Division and other public works get to enjoy those further to decorate their area. And also the parks helped assist for the Monterey Bay Half Marathon recently. Next slide, please. On the forestry side, yeah, we were at Laguna Grande as well, doing some cleanup, also some pruning kind of along the lake edge there. We'd like to hopefully in the future come back and do some more. Pretty extensive fuel reduction in the green belt. We've been lucky enough to have the CAL FIRE crew. You can see there's 1,855 crew hours. We've moved them around a lot. We didn't get them that much last year, but we have been very lucky in having them do a lot of work for us this year. You can see we've continued to do work on the Presidio, a lot of tree inspections throughout the city and on the Presidio, 83 tree removal permits, pruned, removed 377 trees. We break it down, 326 in the city, 51 in the Presidio. Planted a few, and then removed down trees to restore native endangered habitat for Yaden's rain orchid. So, which is challenging too, because we need to take some of these trees out, but we also don't want to damage the area, their habitat. So.
Hi, everyone. So reporting on the Recreation Division activities and for our new commissioners, we in the Recreation Division are responsible for all special events and camp programs that happen outside of the Sports Center. and also a lot of community service and essential services during times of disaster. We also run our field sports programs for both youth and adults outdoors. We have our community centers, which are El Estero Park Center, Hilltop Park, Schulte Park, and Casanova Oak Knoll. So this year was our fourth annual year of supporting holiday meal kit distributions, both at Thanksgiving and the Christmas holiday. In total, we distributed 2,000 meal kits and 750 sandwich meals. We also coordinated 150 home deliveries with Monterey Fire and PD, Seaside and Marina Fire Departments. We served in total over 13,800 individuals. And it was a partnership that wasn't just a city partnership with not just City of Monterey, but other agencies and the Food Bank of Monterey County, which we would not be able to do this without them. The Kiwanis Club, DLI, we had volunteers from also Monterey High and Trinity High School, because it is a huge scale event. We have to shut down the parking lot for Dennis Menace Playground and route cars in a drive-through queue. And this all started with COVID and it's just continued because there's still a large need for food assistance for many different reasons, but inflation and also the cuts to people's food benefits have been a big thing. So we're actually seeing a greater demand for meal kit distributions and food assistance than we even did during COVID. And our signups filled, the first sign up for Thanksgiving filled within 24 hours, and our sign up for the holiday break, holiday meal kits, those filled in less than 12 hours. So that is pretty quick and very high demand. Next slide. Something's happening. Okay. So youth field sports programs, we wrapped up our youth flag football league. We had 212 enrolled with 20 teams. And that was fully enrolled, same as our numbers for the year previously. What we're doing next, we are taking enrollment right now for our track and field program. Last year, we had as many people on the wait list as we had enrolled. So we've expanded that to now do that 4 days a week. And we offer that program at MPC. And then we're also planning for summer field sports camps, which include flag football, basketball, challenger soccer, which brings in international coaches, beach volleyball, and track and field camps. And then adult field sports have wrapped since November, the fall men's and co-rec softball league with 50 teams. And we also have a small ultimate frisbee league for adults. What's next? We are starting registration and we'll be offering our spring men's and co-rec softball. And then we're planning for summer, which includes 4-on-4 adult beach volleyball, potentially some and another ultimate frisbee league. We're trying to expand on the adult sports programs offered during the summer. And then El Estero Park Center, which is one of our community centers, it's become our center where we have front desk operations, and it's the easiest location for people to find. It's centrally located, and pretty much anyone from North Monterey to the border of Pacific Grove can easily recognize El Estero Park Center because it's next to Dennis Menace Playground. And so when we reopened, we focused our efforts on the centers that allowed for the most programmable space because we had limited staff. And so this way we're able to staff a front counter, provide customer assistance, offer programs in multiple rooms at the same time, and really maximize as much as possible, like any revenue opportunities we have, because we are still a very small team. So preschool's full with a wait list. Our preschool is just a 3-hour program during the week, not a full day care. We have strong enrollment in our youth programs, including dance, fencing, and piano. Our gymnastics program is full with wait lists for several sessions. And we just hired a new gymnastics instructor who will be starting and taking on some additional classes, including some Fridays and Saturdays, because we see that demand, and then hopefully being able to offer more gymnastics camps this summer. And then we're also offering some staff taught classes. So Monday Morning Stories and Adventures gives parents an extra day of preschool, craft studio, and jump, wiggle, twirl, and giggle. And so what we do is we program preschool from like 9 to 9:30 to 12:30, and then parents have an option to sign their children up in gymnastics or dance or something and extend the day and give them something else to do, because the preschool program is for 3 to 5-year-olds. So they're also not really able to do a full day. They need naps and everything, but it works out for a lot of parents to just have a break in the day. Then Hilltop Park Center is also one of our centers that we strategically reopened. It was the first center that we actually opened and offered preschool after COVID. So that program is now, we are full with our piano and guitar lessons. Our adult ceramics, blood drives, and preschool are all full. We actually expanded our adult ceramics program this shortly after Christmas. It's full with wait lists and it continuously fills. So we're actually at 200% of revenue projections with ceramics. It's very popular. And I like the ability to like truly serve all ages. And enrollment is also strong for our Pilates for bone health, our ballet, our yoga for adults, and again, Monday morning stories. What's next? They're planning for the spring break. We follow the MPUSD school schedule, and then also preparing for Tiny Tots Summer Camp, which is the preschool program for 3 to 5-year-olds. Schultze is busy. It has a lot of programs for seniors, both paid and free. But we also have a lot of essential services. This is where Alliance on Aging is there. They have tax prep, which is very busy right now. They offer free tax prep. So we also expanded our Meals on Wheels. We typically started this with COVID. We continued it, and it was always just Tuesday through Friday. We just expanded that around Christmas to go 5 days a week. And so we were able to serve just a little over 1,300 drive-through meals for seniors. We're the only drive-through Meals on Wheels in the whole Meals on Wheels program. And then we also partner with the Food Bank for Monterey County to offer senior produce distribution every Monday, and that served 836 seniors. And it's actually open to everyone, but it has our seniors. And then again, like Alliance on Aging is offering senior tax prep. We are bringing back our very popular special events and trips in late spring with a slow phasing in, but those were programs that were very popular with our seniors and allowed them to have a lot of opportunities to socialize they normally may not have. So then that's our staff member, Marianne Ryan Sadler, who is helping with the meal distribution for the Meals on Wheels. And then Casanova Oak Knoll is open based on programs and event schedules. And we've hosted in that since November, neighborhood meetings, holiday parties, certain MPD trainings, Laguna Grande outreach meetings. It will be the site for our old Capitol site. There's also going to be several budget meetings there and rental assistance meetings. So we're really trying to make sure that we reach every part of Monterey. Very popular program that we just rolled out after the new year was our Pajama Story Time in partnership with the Monterey Public Library. It meets every Saturday, the second and fourth Saturday of the month, and our last group had 45 total attendance. It's a bookmobile stop every Tuesday from 2:30 to 4:30. And then we're expanding meeting and programs based on demand and staff capacity, including Blue Zones. They just actually reached out to me again today, wanting to see about scheduling up classes in there. And then we have a partnership with the library where we're not just focusing on Casanova, but also North Monterey. We'll be having a STEAM in the Park event at Montecito in May. And we're excited about that. It allows us to take advantage of like a limited staff and partner with other groups in order to provide services. So very excited about that. And then Casanova was one of the centers that we didn't reopen immediately because of the layout of that building. It is just one large room. And so that limits our ability to offer multiple programs at the same time. But we are really also trying to reach the Montecito and Laguna Grande neighborhoods as well with events and activities too. So, and then what's next? We are planning for spring and summer programs and camps. We will have a Steam in the Park event at Montecito. We will have a story walk around the lake edge of El Estero. We will be holding a bunny hop photo op and little spring party here on Colton Hall lawn. And we are heavily focused on recruitment of part-time staff. You might have seen some commercials or print ads, but we are on KSBW, KION. And we are expanding our program offerings based on our staff capacity and budget, fine-tuning what we can offer online that allows people to just register from the comfort of their home 24/7. Focusing on summer marketing, which is not just recruitment, but also marketing our camp programs as we rebuild. And then we are in the middle of budget prep for next fiscal year. So that's.
Good evening. Little update from the Monterey Sports Center. You'll see there that when we prepared the slide as of January 24th, we were back up to 7,432 memberships. When you look at the numbers, that represented an increase of 1,176 members just since November. So the facility is definitely opening back up. We're not quite where we were in 2019 pre-COVID, but we are making great progress in that direction. Then I did get a update from the facility coordinator, Andrea Diallo, who notified me that as of about an hour ago, we're up to 7,520 members. So almost 100 new ones since January 24th. So we're making really good progress. We're seeing the diversified staff that we're used to seeing at the facility. Of those memberships, over half are family memberships. So that's a really good sign. When you come into the facility early in the mornings, you see a lot of seniors participating in the aquatic aerobics and the different group exercise classes using the fitness facility. And then as we progress through the afternoon, we start to see more of the younger kids coming in, enjoying basketball and volleyball and futsal and activities in the gym. And then towards the evening, as we move past the 5 o'clock hour, we see a lot of working adults coming in. So we're seeing that traditional spread of different ages, different abilities, and different kind of interests throughout the day. I think the biggest challenge we have right now is the capacity has gotten back up to the point where, Ryan Nunez, who does all of our programming in the gym, is trying to figure out, do I set up for volleyball, basketball, futsal, badminton, or pickleball, which is the latest demand that we're trying to deal with. So it does put some challenges for us in terms of space with all the demands. Pool is extremely busy from 5:30 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. And the fitness rooms have been very busy ever since the January New Year's resolutions started. Typically by this point in February, we start to see the room thin out and people start to disappear. And we're not seeing that. They're staying. They're still there. So the facility is definitely getting used. We're seeing about 2,000 people a day is in general kind of the estimate. Next slide. So as I mentioned, Ryan is really busy right now with his sports leagues, and our winter camps went really well. We had 25 teams that are participating in our youth basketball leagues. They are finishing up their season right now. They're going into their playoffs over the next 2 weeks, and then we'll be wrapping up the basketball. I had 100 kids involved in our winter camp program, which was really nice to see. Martial arts has become significant. 35 beginning and nearly 20 advanced martial arts students. And in our staff meeting today, Scott Merrill, who's been with us just about from the very beginning of when we opened the facility back in 1992, said, open it up. I can take 50 kids. And so we have Scott running that program. We have multiple volunteers coming in, and we have a really big cohort of kids that are participating. We have a full schedule of drop-in gym programs, futsal, basketball, badminton, and basketball. The pickleball programs, we've been working with some of the leaders in the local pickleball community, trying to create some opportunities for them to have access, particularly on inclement days, which can be challenging, again, with the space that's available. But we have a pickleball party this Saturday that a lot of folks are coming out for, and there's a lot of excitement about it. And a couple of the individuals that are really involved in the local pickleball community are going to be offering classes and lessons and trying to provide safe ways for people that are not familiar with pickleball, but they've heard all the buzz and want to get involved to kind of learn the sport and get some tips on how to approach it. Next slide, please. Group exercise, personal training. We're just over 70 classes now. Senior fitness, strength, kettlebell, Zumba, aqua aerobics. Class attendance is pretty close to what we saw pre-pandemic, with about 40 to 50 participants per class. The Stages cycling program, which is up in our Studio 2, is really popular. It's kind of a unique way of approaching a group exercise class, and it's something where we're looking at trying to expand that offering because of the demand. Personal training, I think last year they did about $40,000 in personal training packages, and in the month of January they did 80,000. So the demand for personal training is high, and personal training is one of those programs where the revenues help offset some of the programs that are more supported and allow us to expand some of the offerings with our cost recovery goals for the facility. And the big news and kind of what we're working on is the expansion of the weight room. We're changing a little bit of the design, and we're bringing in new equipment. The process has been a little bit challenging, but we're looking at about 6 to 8 weeks out from taking that facility's weight room into more of a functional strength training, which we've had a lot of demand for, particularly from the more athletic participants that would like to have those types of options. If you look at our fitness rooms, kind of what's transpired over the last couple of years is there's more of a transition into the functional athletic strength training in the weight room. We've created an area in the fitness room, cardio room, that is more selectorized or plate loaded equipment, so more circuit oriented for folks that prefer that type of training. And then the cardio has really kind of expanded. So we've really added equipment out into the concourse area. And we are looking at kind of moving a few pieces around and redesigning the space a little bit. Right now, I would call the cardio room just a little crowded. And so we're trying to find ways to open up a little bit more space in there, make the flow a little better. But it's really become quite expansive from where we started way back in the day when we had a little tiny weight room, cardio room in that front section of the hall. And it's definitely a big part of why our memberships are up so high at this point. Next slide. Swim lessons continue to be very popular. A lot of participants taking both individual and group lessons, private lessons, semi-private lessons. The facility tends to get heavily used both by lap swimmers, but also by, we have groups that come in and do activities there. So we have some nonprofits that do different types of therapy, for example, for individuals with special needs. We have groups that are coming in teaching people how to scuba dive safely. And that's part of we have kind of a lane rental program for groups that are coming in using that space. And then we have the private birthday parties, which have been popular with a Wivet it's a kind of an obstacle course that goes into the deep end of the pool, and it's real popular during the birthday parties. So those have all been very successful. Next slide. Okay, coming up on what's next. We're doing all of our spring and summer program planning and camps right now. We anticipate to have a large program both coming up here in the next few months, but also going into the summer. Last summer was one of our biggest summer camp programs in our history, even before the COVID pandemic. We're looking at expanding the program offerings based on what our capacity and budget. We don't have the same staffing model we had back in pre-COVID times. We're working on trying to build that back in with different strategies and with what we have available, trying to expand services. So we are exploring ways to try to get some type of sports cafe open again at some level, and we are looking at early childhood kid zone type programs to provide support for working families with small children. So that's all part of a process we're working through right now to try to make sure we can manage that properly. Cardio weight rooms design, I mentioned. Probably the big project that's coming up is the natatorium upgrade. So This will be a pretty significant project. We're going to be replacing the dehumidifier that helps keep the internal environment of the natatorium comfortable for people when they're working out in there swimming. And that process we anticipate taking place sometime in the next few months. And then the replastering of the pools, we're trying to time that with our engineering department in terms of making sure we have all of the subcontractors lined up and we have all of the work ready to go. And we're trying to time that also with our programming, and we're trying to time that with the way the tides work in the Monterey area so that we're safely protecting the pool as we go through that process of replastering. But both pools will be replastered, large and small. We're also going to be working on the deck, on the pool coping, which is the surrounding tile around the edge of the pool. We'll be working on some of the internal areas that need to be addressed inside the pool area, and potentially replacing the saunas is one of our plans. So that's all should be coming either late spring or early fall is the plan right now. Spring, summer marketing, we are working on trying to get out our messaging for the programs coming up. And like Shannon, we're also working on developing our staffing. And then we're knee deep in the budget preparation for right now. Next slide. That's it.
Yeah. For a second, I thought I let it go off the rails. That was just so much information. I figured that couldn't be 3 months worth of stuff, but it was. So well done. Well done. I'm going to call on Nate to open it up for public comments.
Yes, if you would like to make a public comment on this item, anyone in the council chambers, please identify yourself. Melissa, do we have anyone in the council chambers that would like to speak?
None in the chambers, Nate.
Thank you. If you are online and you would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand or press *9 if you're on your phone. We have one public speaker who can speak for 3 minutes. You are.
Good evening again. Sorry about before. It's Esther Malkin again. I wanted to thank the staff for making such an effort to reach out to Laguna Grande neighborhood as well as Villa Del Monte. They've made an above and beyond effort to try and get participation from our neighborhoods to come to Casanova Oak Knoll Recreation Room for various meetings. They've also been great about allowing us to use the room over there for, we had a holiday gathering for 3 neighborhoods, and we had our annual board meeting from Laguna Grande Neighborhood Association there, and they're always very generous and helpful when we use that room. So I wanted to acknowledge them. And in general, the whole staff is always very helpful. Ties Norton with anything that has to do with our trees or our park over here is always really responsive and super knowledgeable, and we really appreciate that. And just in general, seeing all the work that gets done across the whole city, they do a lot for us, and we really appreciate it. I wish more people were able to attend these meetings and give them some gratitude, because they do deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comments. They're now closed. Next thing on the agenda, looks like Shannon, you have another presentation for us in regards to the neighborhood community improvement NCIP project for 2024 and 25. Sure.
Yep. Oh, there might be commissioner comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for the presentation. I just had a couple questions. I don't know if I heard it. Are we doing, what, is there planting day this year? And cutting day, sorry.
Yep, that's coming up. Thank you for bringing that up. That's March 16th. Our Black Friday of horticulture, if you will, where we give all the plants away. So yeah, the posters out there, please come out. Should have quite a bit to give away. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And one more for Tice. Do you have a number of the trees that fell down?
Do you? No, I don't mean to, no, not quite. We're still assessing. It's going to be a lot. I mean, we're finding them still, and you can imagine, you're familiar with our green belts.
Yes.
So,
I saw quite a few just on driving in on Skyline.
yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Skyline, luckily, most of those are all bucked up. We still have to come back and ship those up. Huckleberries still, we have to do a more thorough assessment of that. So right now Huckleberries unfortunately closed because we do have a lot of hangars. We do have a lot of logs on the trails right now. Until we can make sure that's a safe area for people to go, we're going to keep that closed. And the capital sites, that's another one. We still haven't had time to go assess that. So we will, it'll be in the hundreds, I'm sure, of trees lost if we're including our parks and green belts. So yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, no problem.
I just wanted to thank everyone for the scope of what you're doing and for how it takes care of our community. From the encouraging excellence in sports and well-being to taking care of our most vulnerable with all those food packages. And it's so nice to hear these things, especially on Valentine's Day. It's the Parks and Recreation giving its heart to the community. So thanks very much. And one little question, how long will the pool be closed for this replastering?
We're not exactly sure yet, but
Uh-huh.
probably 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah,
There
there have been a lot of rumors going around the gym and
Yeah.
I want to be able to report back something.
But we'll,
realistic.
as soon as we know when it's for sure happening, we'll be making sure we notify people as well. So
It's
I just didn't want to tell
wonderful.
people too soon because it's one of those things we're trying to coordinate with engineering
Yeah,
as well as like Bill said about the tides. We actually have to de-water underneath the ground so that the pool doesn't pop up when you drain the pool. So for those of you who don't know, that's why he's mentioning the tides and that we have to be aware of that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so needed. I am so glad.
You know,
this
it's going to be
happened.
so painful. I just want to rip the Band-Aid off and get it done. It's going to be painful in so many ways, but it's going to be so much nicer and people
Yeah.
are really going to appreciate it. So
Super. I always thought a mural would be nice in there, maybe fish or something.
yeah, that's a really good suggestion. We've thought about it and it
Mhm.
definitely need to maybe, since we're doing this whole replastering and everything, I think would be a good time to do it. I'm trying to do everything like while it's closed, I'm like, let's do as much as we can.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to ask for things like new guard chairs and new bleachers and things like that too. Because if any of you have ever done any remodeling at home or like new carpet or new flooring, and then you put your old stuff back in, it looks extra old, right? So we are hoping to request some of those things in our budget too, to actually get an overall refresh in that natatorium.
Great. Thank you.
Good. In the same vein, the weight room. I'm a frequent user of it myself, and I've been wondering when and for how long that might be closed during its renovate or rearrangement or addition of, it was Olympic platforms, I've heard.
Yeah, we're looking at developing that weight room in probably 8 weeks is my best guess right now. So we have to time and coordinate it obviously with multiple staff, and the transition of the weight room will only take maybe a day or two. It won't take long to set that up. We hope to be able to do the fitness rearrangement at the same time. Some of the treadmills need to be moved out into the concourse. There's some space issues with the distance between the end of the treadmill and the wall in the back. So it's a perfect time to kind of reorient the way the selectorized equipment circuit area is, and then redo the cardio area to make it make more sense and to provide a little better flow in that space. But we're anticipating we're at the end of February right now, so probably the end of April, early part of May is when we look to do that. But it should be pretty quick. I don't anticipate it taking a lot of time.
Gotcha, thanks. Do you know exactly what kind of equipment you're going to add? I'm getting a lot of questions from friends there.
Yeah, so the equipment line is Hoist, which is a really well-known brand. You're going to see plate-loaded equipment in there. You're going to see some bumper plate, which we've never had in there before. You're going to see some platforms that will support modified Olympic lifting. Most of the equipment that's in there would be very suitable for people that do CrossFit or Spartan training, but also for supporting athletic development and athletic training. But it's also very functional. So you'll have a lot of cable systems. You'll have a lot of standalone cable systems. And so we have a really solid group of trainers right now. So We anticipate them being available to show people that aren't really familiar with some of that equipment, how do you best use it and how to best benefit from it. And then for some people that just really prefer the simplicity of sitting down and putting a pin in a stack of weights and just doing a simple activity, we'll have that set up over on the other side.
Thank you. And one more question about the Hilltop Center.
Can I give you one more insight onto
please,
the
yeah.
sports center? Also for the weight room, in order to minimize the downtime, we've also been trying to do things where like fixing the lockers and replacing cubbies and things like that. Doing that ahead of time so that we could reduce that overall downtime. It could take up to a week if we have to do some deep cleaning. We want to make sure we get it really nice and clean in there for you too.
Yeah, thanks for that. I saw there's a feasibility study for the Hilltop Center. I have a friend who teaches ceramics up there, and she's wondering if there will be any updates or renovations included there just to get it better equipped to handle folks.
So the feasibility, there isn't really a feasibility study. There used to be a feasibility study. It was an NCIP project that was approved in 2016. And we actually got an RFP to go into a full study and a redesign. And then COVID happened and we never got the RFP. And we actually asked that that item be pulled because what we've realized is the city's financial picture. We could come up with this amazing plan, but then it's going to take millions and millions of dollars to do something. And we've unfortunately had that happen with like El Estero, where we've had a plan, it sits there for 10 years, and then 10 years later, it's no longer a viable plan. It needs to be changed again. So it is part of my presentation that we're going to do on NCIP to do upgrades and make sure we can extend the life of that building, but not a full, because the full feasibility and redesign was like potentially just starting from scratch. And we're not proposing that any longer because we know that there's a library and a police station, fire station, and like lots of facilities that are going to take millions of dollars. And we're just not thinking we're going to get a full $10 million project for Hilltop.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Any more?
Oh, and we're not really sure when it's happening, but mid-year budget, we've been told we will be getting a new kiln, a second kiln, because the program is so busy. We need to have a kiln running pretty much continuously for the bisque and then the glaze. So we're going to hopefully be able to double our capacity. Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's to be done by June 30th because we have to use that mid-year money by June 30th. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Sure.
Any more commissioner comments or questions? Other than mine? 156 hours of transient cleanup. Is that an average? Are you finding that increasing? Is that changing at all?
Yeah, I don't know if that's, I don't believe that's an hour average. I think that's just hours per man hours there. What's that? Yeah, exactly, for those 3 months. Yeah, I don't know if that's what the trend is there. It's just, it is constant though. And it also depends, unfortunately, on the size of these camps. The camps that are usually further out, usually the longer they're there, they accumulate a lot of things, and a lot of them just are soiled, and it takes a long time to get some of these things out of there. We have to hike them out. So yeah, unfortunately, some of them are a little more, again, harder to get to and take more work. So.
Okay. All right. Well, with that said, I guess we're gonna get on to the NCIP and Shannon. You could.
Okay, so those of you who've been on the commission for a while, you're aware of the NCIP process, and things have changed a little bit this year just because of a timeline. So back in November, we presented you with 6 projects that we felt like should be a priority for the commission and the staff. And they were not new projects. They were projects that we had previously proposed in the previous fiscal years. What was supposed to potentially happen is we were going to bring those 6 projects back to you guys for an official vote before the NCIP project deadline. The project deadline ended up being announced and basically had a very quick turnaround. So the project deadline was this Friday, February 9th. So we went ahead and based on previous Parks and Rec Commission decisions and things, we went ahead and submitted some projects. And we also have an update on some of the other projects. So that's what we're going to do tonight. You will still see NCIP projects come before you in April. And you'll see those, all of the Parks and Rec related projects, not just the ones submitted on behalf of the Parks and Rec Commission or department, but everything that's Parks and Rec related. You will see that in April before advocacy nights and before voting. And then you will see the projects that have been approved by NCIP in August before they go to City Council for final approval. So this is just providing you with an update of what happened from November to now and what the status is of those projects for fiscal year 25. So again, that's our neighborhood and our NCIP map of neighborhoods. And then potentially some of the projects could be considered community-wide. So as we've been trying to do, and you all have a Parks and Rec master plan, is we've been trying to focus on safety and updating existing parks and recreation facilities. We did our Parks and Rec master plan in 2016, and the general consensus was we have a lot of amazing parks and facilities and amenities. We need to maintain them rather than potentially adding to them. So I feel like our primary goal is to be both economic and environmentally sustainable, and that's one of the main focuses of the Parks and Rec master plan. So that's our. So just some things to consider. The Parks and Rec department budget, and we'll go into some more detail with the fees in the next item. Our Parks and Rec department budget is has very limited resources when it comes to major capital improvements. So with 37 parks and over 745 acres of parks, beach, and open space to maintain, that is a very labor intensive project. The Parks Division alone is probably half of the department budget, maybe a little bit more. When you throw in utilities for the department that continue to rise with both electrical and water, we're at 1.2 million. And then in general, all the divisions, recreation, sports center, and park operations, we're all labor intensive operations. We have to serve, whether it's maintaining parks and beaches and forestry, or it's offering programs for kids. They're all very labor intensive. And so labor also takes up a very big portion of our Parks and Rec department budget. So with a limited budget, really the department has only been able to maintain aging facilities, parks, and outdoor spaces. Items that we have gotten or things that have been done, like artificial turf at Solicito, have been through like grants from the Community Foundation or NCIP. Which is why we try and submit projects that we feel like NCIP would support. Because again, there is a very limited budget for anything that would be considered a major improvement. So this was a project that you saw back in November. It's something we had submitted previously. It's to provide a shade structure over the Elistero Park large group barbecue area. And currently there are only 2 parks in the city that have shade structures, Oak Newton and Whispering Pines. There are no other parks in the city that have shade structures. With that park area having 200 people capacity, it's also the largest, and it's right on the other side of the Solicito ballpark. So we feel some sort of shade structure would be a nice amenity. It would potentially make it more desirable for group gatherings, address some maintenance issues with bird droppings and things like that to make it more attractive for people to have gatherings there. So that was submitted on behalf of the Parks and Rec Department and Commission by the February 9th deadline. So did we skip one? Schultze? Nate? Or am I out of order? Okay. So Jack's Park, infield artificial turf and outfield turf and irrigation improvements. This was submitted for CIP funding. We did that as the staff. And then we also know that Jack's Park was submitted by Save Our Sports, which is the Monterey High School baseball, softball booster organization. Jack's Park needs a lot of improvements. It's probably in the range of like 1.5 million to do the entire field. We have really no preference if it's artificial turf or natural turf. They all have their good and bad points. Artificial turf does have the potential. People, remember the rubber tires. You can now use products that are not, they're more environmentally friendly, like cork or walnut. So, but this is the field that's used as primarily girls softball. It's also used by all of our rec leagues. It's used by our pony league. The infield will be the first infield to close with bad weather because it just will puddle. The outfield needs a full, just take all the turf up, put new irrigation in, level everything out. It's just reached that point. So if we were to do artificial turf on the entire field, it would allow us to do all kinds of sports besides softball, soccer, and all of that. So that is a benefit, but we would be happy with any improvement. And also this is the primary field for Monterey High School girls softball. And so then the Fair Play Act comes into play, and the city is responsible for that as well, as to make sure that we are providing similar quality fields for girls sports as we are boys sports. And if you were to look at Solicito, you can see that there is a large difference there. But it's because Solicito has had an advocate for quite some time for those improvements. And so we are hopeful that we will get a group effort between Pony and Save Our Sports to advocate for improving this field. And then Schulte Park, this was a project that we submitted on behalf of Parks and Rec Department by the deadline. And this is to address the back side of the Schulte Park Center, which is our senior center, with the foam and drake design and a renovation of that entire back corner, which is really underutilized and would be, in our minds, it would be great to do something on the scope of like Friendly Plaza out here. It would be fitting with the character of the building. It would allow us to have events. People could have weddings out there, but in general, we realize after COVID, there's a need to have outdoor spaces. And really there isn't a lot of usable outdoor space for like seniors and adults. We've got plenty of parks in New Monterey, plenty of playground structures, all of that. But for kind of a garden oasis event space, make more usable space at the Schulte Center. That's what we're considering for the Schulte. So phase 1 would be a design and phase 2 would be a renovation. So this is another project you guys have seen before, but this is to address the ballpark lighting at Solicito. It does need to be replaced. At this point, some of those lights are you can't just change the bulb, they need to be replaced. So it was submitted again by Save Our Sports, the boosters. And ideally, we're going to get LED lights. We're going to have the ability to turn them on and off remotely. So no longer are we spending staff time to go do that. And then these new lights really are directing light where they belong and at the field of play and not backwash, which is nice for neighbors and just people in general. Like they're not going to have the lights will be focused on the field of play. So this is a big one. This is Hilltop Park Center improvements. We submitted this again for CIP funding. It was also submitted by the New Monterey Neighborhood Association for NCIP. And there's a lot of things in this center that need to be done. And it is probably, depending on the price, in the $2 million range. We focused on this center because it has some immediate needs. It needs a new roof. It needs to address the termites. It needs a new sewer lateral line. We feel like those things need to be done as quickly as possible to stop any further erosion before we work at painting interior, exterior, windows, upgrading the look of the facility to make it more attractive and inviting. But first, we got to make sure we can get this place watertight and all of that. So that is our big project. Here's just a few slides that can show you the exterior. I'd be happy to walk you through the building if you'd like to see it. We do have a lot of wood rot. We do have a lot of decay and termites and different things like that. We do have some leaks in the building. Next slide. So here you can see kind of the way, when the building was first brought online from the city, it's a school. It was done in 1985 and it was just done enough to get it open as a community center. So it still looks very much like a classroom. It's okay. It's not super inviting. The paint makes everything look like it's dirty when it's actually very clean because it's that yellow tinge brown creamy color. The lights don't help. So we're talking upgrade the lighting, if we're going to address the HVAC, then we have to address the single pane windows that have no insulation. You can see that in the middle picture, there's where we have leaks through our skylights. The picture on the left is, you can see what's inside that light is actually termite wings. So we definitely need to address the condition of this building. And we've submitted it for CIP, and we do have someone who's advocating for it with the neighborhood and CIP. So that. And then the next one is our El Estero Park Center. We submitted this for CIP funding. This center does need work as well. It doesn't need a new roof. It doesn't need a sewer lateral line. It doesn't have termites. So we felt like Hilltop would be the priority first, but we definitely need to address El Estero Park Center. Again, it's centrally located. We're able to offer multiple programs. It does need love and attention. It's just, we really have to address our, priority, and that's Hilltop at this point. So that is NCIP projects. Those were the status of the 6 that we had brought to you, hoping that would be submitted on behalf of Parks and Rec Department and PRC. And all of them really have been submitted in one form or another, except for El Estero. But we know that that's on the list and it's going to be addressed. So that is someday. Yeah. We will keep pushing for that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you much. Nate, do we have any public comments?
Thank you. If you are in the council chamber and you'd like to make a public comment on this item, please identify yourself. Melissa, do we have any public comment?
None in the chamber, Nate.
Thank you. If you are online and you would like to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand or press *9. We have one public comment. Please go ahead.
Hi, it's Esther again. I'm just curious, how come there has never been funding set aside for all of this infrastructure upgrade that's needed? None of these buildings are new, and over the decades, it doesn't seem like there hasn't been any money set aside for maintenance and upgrading them. I mean, these buildings are old, and we all know when you have even your own homes, they need work. So I'm not quite clear on where funding would come from for these NCIP projects, because it seems like it's a lot of requests from NCIP on things that should have been built into the maintenance of these facilities. So I'm just wondering if I don't know about that funding somewhere in the city budget, but it just doesn't seem like this should all be coming from NCIP. So if someone can answer that for me, I would appreciate it. And other than that, that's the only question I have, because it seems like it applies to almost every project submitted. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Karen, would you?
Esther, I'm sorry, I'm probably not the best person to answer the question. I'll mostly go through finance and city management, but just from my experience from being here, citywide, there are challenges with maintenance, preventive maintenance, deferred maintenance. And there is a CIP budget, but there is limited funding to actually address all of the needs for the whole city. So I know every department is always loading up lots of requests, but there's only a certain amount of money for the whole city. But perhaps finance or our city management might be able to give more insight into the exact details of that. But just from my experience here, there's always a lot more requests than there is funding for citywide.
Yeah, and then also going back to the one of the very first slides, it's we do have a very robust parks system. We have 37 parks. We have 745 acres. That takes a lot of resources and manpower and time. And so a majority of the budget is just spent on maintaining existing facilities. And then separately from that, there might be a CIP budget in public works. But again, that has to be spread across every single city property. And we know we need a new library. We know we need a new police and fire station. We're talking millions of dollars. And if we were to potentially add up every single project throughout the city, I would be very sad because I'm sure we're in the 255, I mean, I couldn't even want to guess how many millions of dollars we're talking for every city piece of property.
Thanks, Shannon.
Yeah.
I guess, is there any comments or questions from the commissioners?
I had a question. There's the Save Our Sports. Are they a fundraising group at all? Are they looking to match or help with some of these things?
Yeah, they are the booster. So that's where the fundraising happens. That's not because MPUSD likes to keep the boosters and the fundraising separate from. So they do fundraise, and they are one of the reasons why we got some funding for Solicito is they went to the community foundation at the time and got first was the infield, and then NCIP contributed some matching funds, and then they went back for the outfield, and again NCIP contributed to again community foundation made. So they do as much as they can to advocate for hopefully matching funds or grants or something.
Well, I remembered how it worked with Solicito. I just didn't remember who it was. So it's this group. Wonderful. Thanks.
Is there any more public comments? If not,
There's no more public comment.
no more. Okay, so public comments are now closed. If there's no more questions from commissioners, I need to make a statement. My eyeballs are floating. I don't know what the protocol is, but I would like to use the restroom. So could Sid take over the gavel for a quick minute? Is that kosher? Or can we pause can we recess?
You can step away for a second. Sid can take over.
I think keep it going. I'm just gonna step away. It's right over here. I haven't even used the restroom. It's back here. Thanks. Thanks, Sid.
I have two questions before we go to something else. I've been asked by people that not only use the park, but also the Andre, who works at Via Paraiso Park. I love him. I just want to say that on public record. When are we going to be actually doing the basketball court?
I don't know. I think it's,
Has it been shelved?
no, it hasn't. It's been funded. It's
Okay.
just a matter of staff resources too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's some engineering involved, and then Louis is great. And if he can get involved and help do that, but we have to.
Gets the go ahead, he gets the project.
Yeah. No, and once again, Andre's doing a fabulous job there, and all the other workers that come and handle things. We've had a lot of trees down there too. And so there's been a lot of activity and mulching and chopping and all that stuff. So, well, I haven't been following where he is on the agenda, so. Oh, awesome. All right, so we should go to approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Do we have any questions? Whoa. Do we have any questions? Any changes that we need to make to the minutes for those that were present? So you can't comment. Sorry. Nothing? You're at it.
I'm back at it. The chaos ensue. All right, I think we're possibly on,
The minutes.
the
so we're-
approval of minutes. Ask for any questions or comments, and there wasn't
None.
none. Would we like to take a motion?
Minutes?
A second?
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those in favor? Aye, unanimous aye. Okay, great. Then we're gonna refer to the public at the time. Any person may address the Parks and Recreation Commission concerning an item that is not on the agenda. We have 3 minutes. Nate, do you have anyone?
Yes, thank you. So this is the time for general public comment. So these are items that are not on today's agenda. If you are in the council chamber and you would like to make a general public comment, please identify yourself. Melissa, do we have any general public comment?
No one in the chambers, Nate.
Thank you. And if you are attending via Zoom and you would like to make a general public comment, please raise your hand or press *9. And we have one public comment. Please go right ahead.
Hi again. I just wanted, I already said what I really wanted to say earlier when it was out of order. But I just wanted to say thank you to Kathy Boya for being on this commission and representing our neighborhood and our side of the city in general. We've seen staff give us a lot of attention recently at Laguna Grande Park and Kona, and it's really nice to have somebody on the commission itself from our area. She's been a huge asset to our area with the JPA for the park, as well as FORTAG and other things. So I'm sure she's going to do a lot of good stuff with you guys on there. And other than that, just thanking the staff like I did before. They've all been working closely with us on park issues and neighborhood issues that, they really have been responsive. And I'm sure we'll continue doing that with them as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. No other public comment.
All right. Public comments are now closed. It's like number 6. Guess I recommend the city council adjust the Parks and Recreation Department fee schedule. Well, I guess I'm calling on you, Karen.
Yes. Are you presentationed out yet?
No.
I promise I'll try to make it as quick as possible. I know you guys have had to do a lot of listening tonight. So we do have a presentation regarding the adjustment of the Parks and Recreation fee schedule. You can go to the next slide. The presentation will explain important adjustments to the Park and Recreation fee schedule in order to balance the needs of the community while also addressing the city's ongoing financial challenges. The department is recommending that we raise fees approximately 6 to 6.5% while remaining competitive in the market. As we move through this presentation, we want to keep in mind our department's commitments, our service to the community. It's essential that Parks and Recreation fees remain affordable while still balancing the budget. And the department is committed to providing quality programs and services at a reasonable price, yet remain competitive in the local market. And we're also committed to remaining innovative, thoughtful, and supportive to the people we serve. So why are fee increases necessary? Nobody ever wants to raise fees. But first of all, it's the best practice for our profession to be reviewing fees and expenses at least annually. And unfortunately, our review has shown that the cost to provide these services continues to increase. The department must adjust our revenue to the ever-changing cost of operations, such as residual effects from COVID-19 and departmental reductions to staff and services, combined with the city's long-term budget challenges. It requires us to continually make adjustments. Some key factors to our operational cost increases include the cost of utilities. You could see that our utility costs are over $1 million per year. This is up 17.2% since fiscal year 19. We're also, there's cost of part-time staff salaries with the minimum wage recently increasing to $16 per hour in 2024. That's a 100% increase since 2014. And the cost of supplies, materials has also increased due to inflation. Other cost considerations, including recruiting, training, and retaining qualified employees, the competitive labor market for part-time employees, and as well as other costs associated with restoration of program services and staff. I'm sure you guys have heard how other agencies are continuing to raise their wages that they offer, and that just makes it more competitive. When we have people say, well, why should I worry about being a lifeguard and trying to save someone's life when I could flip burgers for $20 an hour instead of working here for 17 or so. The potential revenue generation from these fee increases, based on our 24 revenue projections, because we're only halfway through 24 right now, the fee adjustments may generate approximately $281,000 per year, starting next fiscal year. So in conclusion, our staff requests that the Parks and Recreation Commission recommend to the City Council that they amend the master fee schedule to adjust the Parks and Recreation fees effective July 1st, 2024. And this concludes our presentation, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have. Was that the fastest fee schedule presentation ever? So.
Yeah,
Putting public first.
actually,
Or anyone.
it's commissioners first. So we commissioners have a question or comment, please.
I think I might have asked this before, but I'd like to know where the burden of the increases lays, falls mostly, whether it's families or people who are coming in from out of town, that kind of thing. Do we have any analysis on that?
Well, we did look at it quite closely. We analyze every program and every fee, but we try to be very fair within the market. We don't want to be outpricing ourselves out of the market. But because we believe our services are also some of the best in town, we also don't like to be the cheapest in town so that we can afford the premium and instructors and nice facilities and things like that. I wouldn't say the burden, I would say a lot of it might be on the adult age versus youth or seniors. We focus more on adults being probably that get the burden of the price increases, as well as things that might be more privately or personally beneficial versus the beneficial of the whole community. For example, like swimming lessons, we're going to try and keep that as moderately priced as much as possible. But then maybe things like personal training or private parties may have, a bigger price burden because we feel like those are things that are very personally beneficial versus community-wide beneficial. Is there anything else that the managers at the table would like to add? Oops.
I mean, we just finished a 2.5-day financial sustainability workshop at the conference center. So we will be bringing more things to you, but I think in general, our overall kind of idea is a pyramid of like pricing where for the good of one should be paying market rate,
Right.
a t-shirt, a water bottle, a personal training session, a private individual in lesson and then the next step would be for the good of some. So that could be swim lessons, that could be sports for youth or adults, but because they have a bigger community-wide benefit. And then for the good of all would be things that everyone benefits from, like our parks and beaches and our open space, a community event, maybe some of our free senior services, Meals on Wheels, those type of thing. Yes, so that's kind of when we're pricing, we've got that in the back of our mind as well, is what is going to benefit? Is it benefiting a small group of individuals or a greater community-wide benefit?
Well, remind me what the dollar amount was that you intend to raise by doing this?
281,000.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any idea where you're going to be getting the lion's share of those revenues? I mean, have you broken it out as to, 50% from the sports center or what have you?
Well, it would be a big chunk of that is the sports center. I
Uh-huh.
mean, it's recreation and sports center is the 281,000, but the sports center does generate more revenue than recreation. So,
We have
yeah.
a higher cost recovery requirement at the sports center.
Mhm.
And if Louis were here, he would say parks don't make money. That's what he likes to say.
Who says
So-
that?
Louis.
No.
Yeah, so parks do make money. There's economic development and everything that goes with parks, but what he's saying is that we don't charge people to be able to go to use our parks and our playgrounds and our hiking trails and those types of
True.
things.
That's true.
Those are all free to the public and to use and enjoy.
And it would be difficult to figure that out, but how much does overall our beautiful parks and beaches benefit Monterey and contribute to TOT and the tourists coming in and all of those things and just the quality of life for people who live here and work here? It's probably
Priceless.
priceless, exactly.
Like,
But yeah, it's very hard to put a dollar amount on.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe the real estate industry has tried.
yeah.
Maybe.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any more?
In terms of the parks and forestry, I'm looking at this, the fees, are tree permits not covered under this?
They're not part of the fee schedule requiring approval because they're set by CIP and they automatically, or yeah, CPI, and they automatically go up.
Okay.
They don't need council approval per se because they're already, council's already approved that they get raised every year per CPI.
How much is that? Do you know?
It depends on each year. I think they look at.
It'll be about three and change this year.
Okay.
So it gets announced.
And it's in here,
March.
March 12th or
It
something.
gets announced in the spring.
Thank you.
So, it looks like the hard costs are, and the utilities are what they are, and they're obviously exorbitant. Do you offer internship programs? If staffing is a heavy dollar amount, are there high school and college kids that you could bring into both the camps and the sports center and the parks? And does that alleviate and help cut off some of these costs that you're overlooking, or is that already part of your program? And
Our big challenge is also everyone is recruiting for the same people and we can't run a camp program with just, I mean, nothing wrong with high school students, but I can't just have high school students running my camp. I have to have some more experienced, knowledgeable staff to kind of even things out. So all of our programs we are hiring people, recruiting them, and we want to retain them as much as we can. So like Chris Russo started as a rec leader with us. He is now a full-time rec coordinator. We really do try and mentor everyone, and whether they start as a volunteer with us or a rec leader, we keep them as long as we can. Yeah.
All right, do any other commissioners have any more questions or comments? I'll open it up to public comment. They wish to make a comment.
Yes, if you'd like to make a public comment on this appearance item, if you're in the council chambers, please identify yourself. Melissa, do we have any public comment in the chamber?
No, Nate.
If you are online and you would like to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand or press *9. We have no public comment.
We're closed, public comment. Yes, that's my next sentence. Return to commission for questions, discussion, vote, and final comments. So we vote on percent, is that?
6 to 6.5%.
I think we vote on the recommendation
Okay.
to make the increases as described.
To approve.
I recommend we vote to approve.
Yeah, the
Recommend-
last slide is basically you recommend council amending the parks and rec.
Okay, so I'll wait for the last slide.
No.
Or you already
Yeah,
said that.
yeah, that's what.
All right, I vote to recommend that we take the reference of the last slide that we apparently saw. And so the increase, vote, to approve this.
I move the recommendation from Parks and Rec commissioners to approve the fee increases as shown.
Second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, oh, I guess I could have continued on to this. Ask commission if someone would like to make a motion. That was a motion. All those in favor, that was a unanimous aye. All opposed. So Karen, comments you'd like to make?
I'll keep them super quick. First of all, make sure we thank Tice and the forestry crew for all your amazing work you've done during the storms. Thank you so much. They were amazing out there in the dark and in the rain and everything. So they did a fantastic job. Really quickly, just to remind everyone that Blue Zones Project is having their community volunteer day at Laguna Grande Park on Saturday, February 17th from 10 to noon. And then also, it's very important that you guys know that the city is reaching out for some community engagement regarding budget priorities. And they're doing something new this year called listening sessions. And so those dates are going to be Monday, February 26th at Schulte Park Center at 6:30 p.m. Thursday, February 29th at the Library Community Room at 6 p.m. and Saturday, March 2nd at Casnovo Knoll Park Center at 10 a.m. The city would like to hear, what do you think are the top needs of the city? What do you think the city can do to meet the needs of the city, or what maybe services we should decrease? And name the services that the city currently provides that you'd like to see maintained or improved, that they want to keep. What services do you want to see continued in the city? There also is a survey online that they would really like everyone to participate in. I could email it to you guys if you would like to have the site where you could just click on it. It will have all those dates and times, but also the survey that you can take. The results of the survey and the listening sessions will be presented to City Council on Wednesday, April 24th, which is a special study session. The survey does close March 10th. So if you could please take the time to do that survey, your advocacy is much appreciated. So thank you for this amazing team. I won't keep you long because I understand that some people may have some Valentine reservations tonight.
Yeah, thank you everyone for being here. That's all I have to say really. Is thank you, our new commissioners and our long-term commissioners. Thank you. Would not be possible without all the recreation team and staff. And so they're listening in, and Nate is the voice above. And so just thank you. But yeah, if you have any questions, we're always here, and I am just going to move it right along to Bill because we're trying to.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would just ask if you're interested to come down and do a tour of the facility, meet some of our staff, and see some of the things that we're working on. I'd love to be able to walk you around and show you what we have going on. I do get to see Ellen down there, so we do get to have conversations. She warned me about the brownies tonight, which was a nice Valentine's Day treat. But I would really encourage you to come down, and that way I can really spend some time with you and show you what we're working on and get your input on some of the directions that we're trying to go.
Commissioner Kraft, I just want to let you know, Andre was out there with us on February 4th in the middle of those storms. So give him that many more kudos, because yeah, he was out there in really treacherous conditions. So yeah. Good. Along with other park staff and our tree contractors doing a heck of a job in some terrible conditions. Also just want to say, going into the spring, I don't know when we're going to meet again, but in the spring, park staff, this is a real challenging time for them because the weeds are going to start growing with get some better weather, all this rain. The weeds are growing, get the fields ready for all the field sports going on, getting the irrigation ready to go because that's been off for a while. All these things kind of really build up in the springtime for them. So hats off to our park staff, who is going to be, again, presented with a challenging spring, but they love what they do and they do a great job at it. So, and thank you.
Okay, well, I guess we're down to commissioner comments. So we're going to start you, Gabriel. If you have any comments that you'd like to make, if not.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome. Kathy?
I would like to say thank you too. This has been a great group, but a great meeting.
Kathy. Justin, yeah.
Thanks again for everything you guys done over the past couple months. I was out, I believe, the last meeting, and I had some health issues at the end of the year, but thanks to everything you guys have been hanging on there. Bill, it's really good to work with you again. And Tice, thanks for everything you guys have been doing around the city during these storms. It was really bad last weekend, and hopefully this weekend is not too bad.
I just want to reiterate what everyone else has said. Thank you. I mean, it has been very challenging, and it has been challenging for the last 5 years, but I think you guys do a stellar job, and I'm very proud to be a member of this committee. But I think most importantly, I'd like to thank Ellen for the goodies. Thank you.
What do they say? Sweets to the sweet. You guys are wonderful. So thanks very much.
Yeah, I thought we were totally off, or I went off schedule because that was 3 months. And it felt like 3 years worth of stuff that you guys completed. So well done. And look forward to next month's meeting. But I guess that concludes tonight's meeting. The next regular meeting will be scheduled Wednesday, March 13th. So want to adjourn the meeting officially. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Recording stopped.